Hey everybody, I'm Brian with Knox Company, and I'm going to show you how to use this Froth-Pak 200, see how good it is, see how DIY friendly it is, and I'm just going to show you what to expect if you try to buy one of these and want to use it in your house. We're going to go for it and just see how it actually works, and I'm going to let you guys know if there's anything you should pay attention to or if it's worth buying, and yeah, let's jump into it. I'm going to be using it to seal all the bottoms of these walls here to prevent any air or dust from coming through. But really, I want to show you how it works. I've seen a lot of videos explaining it and just kind of showing the ideal usage and probably from like the company what it's going to be doing. But I want to actually see how easy is it? Is there any things that you need to look out for or pay attention to? I'm going to show you if it actually sets up easy. And also I want to see exactly how much I can get out of it. It says that it's good for 200 board feet. That's 200 square feet at about 2 inches thick, 4 inches wide. I will be spraying it most likely in a straight spray. I won't be using the fan spray very much, but I'm gonna first, again, try to seal everything here, mainly all the bottom cavities in these walls. Trying to seal up things like this where you can see a little bit of the air or the light coming through. Once I have insulation in these walls and I have everything drywalled, I don't want that air from the outside coming in. So I really wanna make sure everything is airtight. I might spray up a couple feet, but I'm just gonna be hitting all these corners. I'm gonna try to make my way around this whole entire structure. Then if I have a little bit left over and I still got more in the cans, I'm gonna be spraying inside the corner of these cavities because this is another area where I want to create a really good seal and airtight. When we end up doing the thermal envelope test on this structure, they're going to seal up all the entries and windows and they're gonna pressurize the unit. And they're just gonna see how efficient the building is. And I think some of these areas like this, where you can see light coming through, any of those little edges that are not perfect, that's gonna be where the air leaks out of. Not so much the windows, we can only do so much with foaming around those, but I wanna use this pack right here to seal all the corners, make this thing very airtight, energy efficient, and really just wanna see what this thing can do. Really, my main goal is trying to see exactly what these packs do, how much you can get out of them, and how easy they are to use. It does recommend that you should be wearing like a full body suit. You need to protect your skin. I'm pretty familiar with some of these other types of spray foam, so I'm gonna be just covering my arms and my upper area. I will be using a respirator and some eye protection because you definitely don't wanna breathe in anything that you're not supposed to, and you wanna protect your eyes. So I'll be wearing that, but I will be wearing some shorts. I'm not gonna throw on the whole jumpsuit, but I do recommend if this is your first time, you're not wrong by suiting all up because this could get everywhere. You should also lay down some protection along the floor because again, if this stuff drips and it dries on the floor, it is a pain to try to scrape up. But yes, I will not be putting anything down on the ground. I'm just gonna kind of go for it and I wanna show you what happens. I wanna see how easy it is, how it actually sprays, how well it actually sticks to everything, how much it expands, what it covers, and really just the all around usage and what you can expect when you buy it, take it home, and actually try to use it as a DIY type of product. But I don't really wanna go on and on. Let's just go ahead and jump into this. Let's start opening up the box, setting it up, put it together, and then we can start spraying it and see what happens. So this is everything out of the box, all the tips, the wrench. We have our spray and our hose. We have our instructions, which I will be reading. I'm not just gonna try to wing this whole thing. I do wanna try to do my best, but I do wanna see if there's anything harder than what they maybe advertise. So I will read through this and make sure that we are setting it up correctly so that we can hopefully have a successful experience. So I'm gonna go through this really quick and then we'll set it up and I'll show you how easy or difficult it is. And then we'll start spraying hopefully here soon because it does say quick setup. So one of the biggest things I got from reading all this was making sure that you have proper protection on. You don't want to be breathing in any of the vapors. So I would recommend wearing some eye protection, the breathing, the respirator. And if you're not familiar with it, like I said already, wear the full jumpsuit. If you're going to be spraying overhead or you're going to be somewhere in the attic or something that's vertical, I could see where it might spray down on you. I'm going to be spraying down low, so I'm just going to make sure that my arms and my hands are all protected, and then I have my eyes and my lungs protected. With the two different tips, these white ones have a circle. This sprays what I'm gonna be using, which is like kind of more just a stream. These ones right here, they have like a little slit in them, the blue tips. These ones give you that fan spray, which I might use later if I have some extra. It comes with the wrench that you need to tighten these down. And it also comes with a little bit of like petroleum jelly. This goes right on the inside of here so that if you ever have to remove those tips, it helps keep the foam residue off of it so that as you're removing them and taking them, they're not curing and sticking in place. So we'll put a little bit of this on the inside. We will hook the lines up, we'll charge them, and then I'll discharge this. I took a trash bag and I put it inside the box that these came into. I saw people put them in like a full trash can and spray it in, but you are gonna have to discharge this for about 5 seconds once you have it all hooked up. Make sure everything's coming through evenly. Then we can put the tip of our choice on, and then we're just gonna go ahead and start spraying right away. We go red to red, blue to blue. So something I've noticed with this is that this threaded on almost all the way down, and it was just a quick little quarter turn to tighten. You can see how this is loose right here. This is already pretty snug, but we need to make sure that this is sucked tight, because you see how this one doesn't wobble? This one's wobbling. If you thought that this was tight and you go to turn it on, it's gonna spray out everywhere. So yeah, we're tight now. So I think because these are all made for one-time use and you throw it out, the threads and all the quality of this is very light because it's affordable, it's throwaway. So make sure these are tight. You have no wiggle in the lines. Now we can go ahead and put some of the jelly right here, and then we'll discharge this once we turn these on. Okay, here goes nothing. I got my tip ready. I'm going to turn these on. I'm gonna turn these on. I'll spray it in here for about 5 seconds, making sure we have everything coming through. Then I'll push my tip in with this little tab that sticks up so this can grab onto it, and we'll be ready to go. And I believe once I start spraying this and get this going, I'm gonna have to be moving the camera around, following me, but I'm gonna start back here in this room. I'm gonna hopefully make my way all the way around the living space. I'll go into the other living space, and then if I have extra, I'll start hitting some spots inside the garage. Well, that was a learning experience. So let's go ahead and dive into it. It was very similar to if you've ever sprayed one of those spray foam cans, as far as when you spray it and it starts to hit the wall or whatever, and it starts to expand out of the tip and it drips. It's very similar to like any experience I've had with the rattle can spray foams. So that is what you should expect when you're spraying and you're moving from area to area. and it's dripping or it has a little bit. It's not a lot, but it does do it every single time. So I would recommend putting something down on the ground. It actually dries pretty quick. So when it says that it cures within 30 seconds, it does seem to be pretty firm within that 30 seconds to less than a minute. And I think with other foams that I've used, the rattle cans, it will, when you spray it, it doesn't seem to get hard right away. It doesn't expand and then get hard on the outside. It seems to be pretty soft for a little bit. But with this stuff out of these containers, it actually gets pretty firm pretty quick. You can stand there, watch it. You can see it expand at 20 to 30 seconds. It starts to really grow and then it stops. And then it starts to get that hard shell. And then for a minute, it's kind of flexible. And then I think if you came back, a minute or two later, you can just pop it off or break it because it's actually very rigid. So I like that once it is cured, it seems to go pretty quick. But that also kind of brings me to my next thing, which is how fast you spray it, like the speed of the nozzle. I did a couple test spots here where I actually went kind of smooth and fast, and I was visually getting a nice good coverage and then seeing how much it expands. And then I went to an area next to it and I kind of sprayed really fast, and I was trying to see if with the spatter that it gave, there was a lot of wood that you can see through it. I wanted to see if it would expand enough to where it kind of covered itself, and it did in some spots, but not so much. So how fast you're actually moving is just a nice, consistent, smooth pattern. It's pretty easy to figure out once you start spraying it, but you can't go in there and rush. But I think that's what I felt myself doing, because it says on there, after 30 seconds, it's gonna be curing. So you don't want it to sit for 30 seconds. So I felt myself kind of rushing through it, and I probably could have smoothed down a little bit, but I was kind of worried that I was gonna waste $400 worth of product for some reason. But I guess that's why they give you the extra tips. So the next thing is, I was about halfway through and I thought I was running out. And I thought, man, I got about 75% through the walls just spraying. I was over here in the back of this room and I went through the main living area. I made over through this area, which is like the gym and kind of recreational. And I thought, well, if this is where I get it, this is fine. I got most of the house. And I thought, you know what, let me just open the canisters all the way. I thought I had it opened all the way. So make sure that you have them opened fully, like open them all the way when you go to hook it up. This area right here was where I thought I started to run out. You can see here underneath, the product started to deteriorate. It turned into like this yellowy, like syrupy stuff. You can see that's still wet. It's not fully mixed. This is what I saw start coming out. And I knew that it was I thought I was just running out. But you can see here, I messed with it and then I started spraying again, and then I actually got some good spray. So this is where I thought it was running out, and it's really crunchy. It's actually not really mixed well. And then this right here, super firm. So if you see this yellowy orange stuff start coming out, stop, change your tip, make sure that your cans are open all the way. I think from stopping and doing that, I started spraying again, and all of a sudden the spray nozzle had some life again. But that's what I think I also learned here is change your nozzles as you go, unless you are moving consistently and you know that you're spraying out of that nozzle with very minimal downtime. If you have any amount of downtime and you start getting to that 30 or 45 second window, you can hit the trigger again and it will spray, but you'll start to notice that the spray quality is a little bit different. It's less, or it's more random. It's really easy to switch out the tip. I just popped it. You don't have to turn the two bottles off. You can actually just pop the tip off. The pressure in the nozzle is controlled by that trigger, the lever. So you can just pop it off and put a new one on, and it went right back to 100%. So I was almost about to throw this thing away and I thought I was done, but luckily I played with it a little bit and I saw that it was just, I had had too much time through the nozzle, too much downtime, so the mixture out of the front of it was messed up and it wasn't getting enough of both products. So that's why they give you several tips. I would still switch it out every so often as you're going, because you'll notice that the quality goes down if you have any downtime in between spray locations. So I think that is a very huge thing that people don't hear enough, is just change the tip out. You will think that you're out of product and you'll throw it away because it's not working anymore, and you think that you've run out of time and run out of product, and you could be throwing away a lot of really good product left in there and got more life out of it. Because once I did that, I went through a whole nother half of the house, and I even ran outside to the garage and I started spraying extra areas in the garage because I had more product than I ended up needing. So at the end of this, it was actually really good because I got more than what I needed, and I found myself at a point where I sprayed on the wall just to test it. I sprayed outside on the dirt just to kind of see how fast it would expand. And I started spraying some other areas that I just didn't really need it, but I was just putting some extra foam insulation in areas. And I got to the point where it was basically done. I could feel that the canisters were a little bit lighter, like they felt like they were empty finally. And I just was done using it. So that was something very big that I learned that I did not hear in any other videos, was the whole thing about changing out the tips and how it could look like it's running out when it's really not. So that's a really big thing that I learned here. The next thing is looking at how much product you're spraying, and I'll show you a couple different areas where I went really light, where I went really heavy, where it really expanded on me, and I didn't think that I had much there, but it really started to push out. And also when you're spraying and you're on a vertical surface like a wall, if you spray heavy and it starts to kind of run down, it'll start to build up and then it will get heavier at the bottom. So you can see along some places in this wall where it actually expanded out a little bit past the plate, which I can just cut back easily with a razor blade. So it's not too big of a problem, but just pay attention to that. I believe you have enough product to where you can, charge the lines, spray a little bit into the box. You can put the tip on, and then you can actually use one tip on a practice board or practice area and spray a little area, see how it expands, spray in some, angles or speed patterns, and then you can see how it covers, and then you can learn from that, so that as you actually start learning it, put a new tip in and then just go for your project, and you will have learned some of these lessons and you can see firsthand what to experience before you start going. And there's enough product in there to do that. And it might even save you product in the long run, because everything that you're spraying now will be done the way that you want it, and it'll be a better quality spray, so you won't waste time in areas or waste anything on overspray. So I would recommend doing a practice area, just a quick little spray, doesn't take much product, but you can see firsthand in that 30 to 45 seconds what it's gonna do. Then you can move throughout everything more efficiently. So these are some areas where you can see just consistently throughout the house, I have little drips. It comes off pretty easily, doesn't leave too much residue, but depending on if you're gonna be tiling, you might want to scrape that a little bit. I don't know if it will affect your adhesive, your thin set here, something big like this. Again, it comes off pretty much all together. It's very firm. You can see minimal residue. I'll still probably come over this with some type of scraping tool before I lay down the laminate flooring or any underlayments, but not too big of a problem. I would still recommend laying something out. Seems like most of my drips are within about 12 to 18 inches. So if you're trying to cut down on how much material you're putting and just rolling out here for floor protectant, you may not need those 3 or 4 foot sheets, but I would go for maybe a 2 foot section all the way around. So I would say overall it was a success. It did what I expected, but I definitely learned a few things, this being my first time. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to make this video, because I knew that there'd be some things that were not shown or not expected. And my thing with making videos is if there's a little trick or if there's something that I think other people are gonna run into, I try to put that on here and show you firsthand the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I know it probably wasn't the best angles, throughout the whole thing, but I did my best trying to document it, because I was trying to move through this and still try to capture everything on video for you guys. So if you found the video helpful, please hit the like button, really helps me out. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I have all kinds of videos on here doing projects like this, and anything that I do in the future and even in the past, I always try to show stuff like that. Things that can help you if you're gonna do it yourself. This is a DIY pack. It is pretty user-friendly. The setup was just as easy as they said. But like I said, when you're using the product, it's that touched feel, like you just still need to experience it yourself. But hopefully something in this video kind of showed you whether it is something that you do want to tackle or not. I think overall, even the stuff on the ground or changing the tip out once I figured that out, all that stuff is very minimal in what I expected out of the product and what it provided. So I think it was worth it. I'm still gonna go ahead and put a bunch of insulation in the walls, but now I have everything sealed up the way that I wanted, and it did exactly what I wanted it to do. But other than that, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next build.